So I grew up in KZN. My heart and soul remains there. That's where my family is. The broadest and the biggest group of the family remains there. Went to school there, studied at university, and had my first job in KZN. That remains really the place that grounds me. So when I look around and see people misbehaving in public, I always say, I could never do this, because, within an hour of saying something like this on TV, I'll get a call, and one of my uncles or my aunts will say, who are you now? What have you become? How do you speak like that in public? Because that's where I've been. I'm a rural boy, so I grew up in a traditional, proper Zulu homestead where I looked after my family, cattle and goats. Went to school in that space, and my life in many ways today is completely inconceivable and incompatible with where I come from. Everyone, so the people in the family, my parents clearly had a vision of what would become, and so they were the first very important guardians. But I also grew up in an environment where there was a very seamless and aligned view of how to raise kids. So the things that my parents were telling me are exactly the same thing that my teachers were telling me, and my aunts and my neighbors and the people in the community. So one of the things that I find really sad and odd today is that the things I tell my kids are not the things that school is telling them, or they learn in church, or from people who are the neighbors, and it's a lot tougher these days for kids and for parents. With me, I knew that the next door neighbor, or the church, the teacher, everyone would tell me exactly what my parents tell me about how to conduct yourself, how to behave, how to be a good citizen. So my teachers, my community, my people have always been very instrumental in what I've become. I got to play professional football, a very short career, but a very interesting career. Played for Manning Rangers and Amazulu, which is perhaps, that explains my passion for sports, which perhaps goes back to my school days. From Unilever, I worked for Nike. At Nike, I got to Nike at a time when Nike was effectively becoming a global brand, from having been in an American brand built on running and tennis and American sports, to hosting the World Cup in 1994, and then realizing just what the world exists out there outside of their own sports, and understanding that to be a truly global brand, Nike had to be in football. So I was the first GM for football in South Africa, and build the Nike football business to where it is today. But in that process, I also got to work in some really, really interesting projects. I was in the global Manchester United football team that literally looked after that business and how the deal was structured. I got to really see from inside how to do these big global partnerships, and understanding really the sport behind what you see on the field, what happens behind the closed doors, what kind of things are important, and how to run a business like that. So that perhaps were the beginnings of my sport business career. And then I went to Standard Bank, where that continued a little bit, because we managed Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates in the relation, as well as Cricket South Africa, and then to Coca-Cola, where that really was ramped up to the next level. I got to work on the big IOC deals, FIFA, the NBA, and work on the FIFA World Cup as preparation for 2010. Spent a lot of time in Germany around their own Confed Cup and 26 FIFA World Cup to prepare us for 2010. And in that process, really understanding that, behind closed doors and behind these huge big banners around the field of the big sponsors. There's a huge amount of conversations and discussions and how in a partnership understanding you get to build a bigger sport. Today within the group that we own, we have a number of businesses, of which Sports Industry Group is one. We've got an insights and intelligence business called Nielsen Sport and another one called Frontiers. But the Sports Industry Group is effectively a networking sport development enterprise whose role is to ensure that the industry grows and we create a platform for the industry as a whole. I'm talking rights holders, brands, investors, services providers, professionals, broadcasters, media, all get together and discuss issues of common interest. We have a number of things that we do within that, from education and benchmarking and helping people to understand where they are relative to the rest of the world, but also celebrating where within that we call it something called the Sports Industry Awards, which celebrate the best of the work that is done by the industry. We through our networking and education, we have the summit, which gets together the industry once a year, and going forward we're going to do a lot more of those in different types, and we talk about where the industry is going, what are the key trends that are driving the industry, and what is being done, and therefore really looking to grow the industry, grow the capacity, and grow the capabilities within the industry. One of the ways that industries and communities get to network, to share ideas, and to chart the future is get together every year. Just like the business people and politicians get together in Davos, or today, or there's a Manning in Daba, we've got effectively our own sports industry summit. And it's effectively the industry getting together and discussing what are the challenges industry is facing, how is it dealing with it, how is the rest of the industry globally dealing with the challenges that the industry is facing? How is new media and social media impacting the industry, where it is and where it's going? How does issues of security and terrorism, for example, impacting the way sport should deal and manage their events? Who are countries investing in sports, sponsors? So all of the issues that you can think of that are impacting the way sport is being managed today, how it will be managed in the future, and how consumers and all the stakeholders that are in sports are engaging with the industry. This should never be confused with the technical side of sports. So they may well be, and there is many other forums in the sports industry which look at the other side of the sport. For example, the technical issues, how we're training their kids, which sports are doing well, how we're developing coaches, all of that. We don't do that. So effectively on our side of we are talking about the brilliance of sport. What happens outside the field? There's people who deal with what happens in the field. We deal with where the money comes from. Who are the sponsors? Who are the advertisers? Who are the other service providers? Hospitality. How are those areas that effectively are driving the business of sport and the revenues and the commercialization of the industry? How is that being managed? Where is it going? What are the trends that we're seeing that would impact it? Where is the money going to come from going forward? If today money comes from sponsorship and broadcasting, is it going to continue to be the driver of revenues? We're definitely seeing a lot more of the revenues coming from the fans by way of ticketing and hospitality and food and beverage. So match day income we see globally as becoming a significant driver of revenues for sporting organizations, not just sponsorships and media. We are far better off today and far better positioned to do that than we did in 1995. We obviously have opposition in France and Ireland, but France hosted it in 2007, so they have absolutely no claim to be wanting to host again before we host again. We have far better facilities. We are far better prepared. We, as a nation, we have developed a far bigger experience of hosting events of this nature, having hosted 2 big ones since then in the World Cup and Cricket World Cup and Football World Cup. So we should be quietly confident. Despite the challenges we have, we certainly will give the world a much better World Cup, and I think we'll get it. Sports Industry Group is just one element. Effectively, anyone who's currently wants to get in sports, who's at university, who's doing sports marketing or sports finance or anything like that, should be looking to get into sport, because if they do that, then they are in our space in one form or the other. How they develop within that is like in any other industry. They need to work hard to continue to grow. They need to understand their industry and invest in themselves and understanding where they want to be and plan their careers accordingly. It is an interesting industry. It's not all glamour and glory. But it is an interesting industry that a lot of us are privileged to work in a space where you emotionally are connected to what you do. It's good fun, but you could build a career and get rewarded for it. There's a part of our business which is really around advisory and consultancy, and in our bigger group we have a part of our business that specifically looks at that. We can show the big rights holders like SAFA and PSL and SARU and CSA what we see as the issues, why the fans are staying away, and what globally other people have done to address those issues and get the fans to come back. The truth of the matter is the fans issue is a far more of a global issue than it is just a South African issue, and so it's across sports. But having said that, there are sports and there are nations that are doing much better. They continue to drive growth in their fans, and fans are coming to the stadiums in increasing numbers. Fans are consumers. They are people who are coming there because they want something and need to be met. But like any consumer, they have expectations, they have standards, they have qualities. They need to be treated as such. Sport has been very lazy and has been very reckless in treating fans as consumers who pay their money, and therefore they deserve to have bathrooms that are clean and available and have toilet paper and are usable. They deserve to get there and eat the stuff that they can buy with their money. They don't have to eat a Coke and a boerewors when they actually want a salad. Fans need to be treated with respect. They saying, and we're seeing that in research, fans are saying, this is my afternoon. If I'm going to invest 2 hours or 3 hours, I want to be comfortable. I want to be connected. That's why globally, globally, you can't build a stadium that doesn't have Wi-Fi, that's not connected. But fans want to be comfortable, like they would be in their own homes. They don't want to pay hardship fee by being in a venue, in a sporting match. Find your niche, find your pin, and invest in it. It's a world of opportunity. Things are changing every day. The game as we know today and sport as we know today will be very different tomorrow. Find a place and a way to be the first person who comes up with a solution for fans, for ticketing, for anything that you can do in sport, and invest in that. That's how Uber and Google and Facebook and everyone else was born. Someone saw something and they invested in it, and today they're in a very interesting position.